Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Mack Story.
Hello, and thanks for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast today. So today we're going to continue diving into our intention. Last week I talked about intention is the foundation of trust. I left off last week's episode talking about manipulation and motivation and the fine line between these two words is our intention. And again, our intention is determined by the person we're talking to. The individuals we're talking to, they determine what our intent is, just like we do. Just like we do. When we're dealing with someone, we get to decide what their intention is, and whatever we decide, that's what it is. Doesn't matter what that person says or doesn't say. Doesn't matter what they believe or don't believe. We decide what someone's intention is when they're dealing with us. And it's because of how we feel. What they're trying to do, we may be right or we may be wrong. They may be trying to manipulate us or they may be trying to motivate us. It doesn't make any difference. How we feel is how we feel. If we feel they're trying to manipulate us, they're never going to be able to build trust with us. So as a leader, we've got to care if the people we're leading feel like we're manipulating them. Even if that's not our intent. If we're coming across in a way that causes them to feel that way, maybe we got a track record, maybe our organization, maybe the other leaders around us, maybe it's people we associate with, or their character's rubbing off on us, or their reputation is rubbing off on us, and because we associate with them, we kind of group with them, all kind of things. I don't know what the answer is. But you know when you meet somebody, if you feel like they're trying to manipulate you or not. So does everyone else. When you meet them, they have those same feelings. The more you interact with them, the stronger those feelings are going to be because they got a track record. You got a track record that every action and behavior and word is building on, good or bad. So let's talk about manipulating. When we are manipulating someone, we are using our influence primarily for our benefit. That's what's happening when we know we're manipulating someone. When we're trying to do something for our benefit only, we're manipulating them. So from someone else's perspective, when they feel like they're not getting any benefit and the other person is, they're going to feel manipulated. So a lot of times leaders may be trying to lead their team in a certain direction, and the people feel like the only people going to benefit are the leaders or the organization. Now, the people may potentially benefit, and the leaders may be planning on the people benefiting. But if the people don't know that they're actually going to benefit and they can't see it and understand it and know why, that's a leader's responsibility. They're not communicating well. It's not the people's fault they don't understand. It's the leader's fault for not helping them understand. So the leader could have great intentions, but the team could feel the wrong intention. This is how it works. But when we are motivating someone, we are using our influence for mutual benefit. So that's, again, both parties are getting something out of it. So there's a valid reason for both of us to take action. If I'm trying to motivate someone, I'm seeking mutual benefit. That's a good thing. But if the other person doesn't see how they benefit, they're going to think I'm seeking only personal benefit. If all they can do is see how I'm going to benefit and they miss it in the whole opportunity that's ahead of them, they're going to feel like they're being manipulated. They're going to respond like they're being manipulated. They're going to act like they're being manipulated. So it's the leader's role and responsibility to make sure everyone understands. See, low impact leaders who just like to give directions, they like to go fast, so they end up going slow. They ain't got time to communicate. And even if they did, they don't have any interest. It's just a waste of their time. They just want their folks to do what they're told to do, and everything will be fine. Well, not a lot of trust in that situation. When there's not a lot of trust, there ain't a lot of influence. So let me share the Merriam-Webster's definition of manipulation out of the dictionary. To control or play upon by artful, unfair, or insidious means, especially to one's own advantage. So the key component of this definition is especially to one's own advantage. That's what I've been talking about already. Manipulation. Personal benefit. When you are using your influence to manipulate someone into doing something, only you receive advantage or benefit. So when you are using your influence to manipulate someone into doing something, only you receive the advantage or benefit. That creates distrust. It's the same way. Here's one of those stop and think set of questions I talked to you about last episode. So stop and think. When someone attempts to manipulate you, do they build trust or create distrust? You already know the answer. Everybody already knows the answer. When someone attempts to manipulate you, they create distrust. Do they have more or less influence because they tried to manipulate you and created distrust? Everyone already knows the answer. They have less influence. And again, I'm going to ask you because I want to make sure that this sinks in. When you attempt to manipulate someone, do you build trust or create distrust? See how it works? It works both ways. You create distrust. Then, do you have more or less influence? You have less influence. So it's very, very easy to ask these questions and look at yourself and say, when somebody does this to me, how does it make me feel? You know instantly. Guess what? So does everybody else. So if you want to grow your leadership ability, you got to be able to look out the window as you're doing things to other people and understand, empathize, see it how they see it, and realize you can create distrust or build trust. You do whichever one you want. It's not going to impact my life, what you're doing, but it's going to impact your life. You want a better life, you got to build more trust. You can't build a lot of trust when it's all about you. What you have, what you got, what you want, how it makes you feel, how it don't make you feel. Leadership is about other people. You've heard me say it 1,000,000 times if you listen long enough. It starts with me, but it ain't about me. See, it starts with me, meaning I want to build trust. That's about me. I want to build trust. But it ain't about me. It's about you. Because I want to create mutual benefit. I want you to win. I want you to have a better life. If I'm your leader, figuratively speaking, you report to me, I want you to have a better life at home and at work. I want to build trust so that I can influence you to make better decisions. Not for me, for you. If you on my team and you make better decisions, do I win? 100%. Do you win? 100%. That's called mutual benefit. That's the kind of relationship you want to build with people. That's the kind of influence you want to have with people, where there is mutual benefit. The people have to trust you. As a leader, are you going to have to sacrifice more than the team? Probably so. Probably all the time. Maybe every day. That's what leaders do. That ain't what managers of people do. That's what leaders of people do. So let's talk about Merriam-Webster's definition of motivation. The act or process of giving someone a reason for doing something. See, that's what motivation. The key component of that definition is giving someone a reason for doing something. Remember before I talked about manipulation. Now I'm talking about motivation. Is our intent to manipulate for personal benefit or motivate for mutual benefit? when you're using your influence to motivate someone to do something, there is going to be mutual advantage or mutual benefit. A reason or benefit not only for you, but also for them. And see, if you can't see it through their eyes, if you can't empathize with people and see it how they see it, it's hard for you to know what to do and how it's going to make them feel. That's one big advantage I have is the first 10 years of my career, I was an entry-level frontline factory worker. I was being manipulated a lot by coworkers, by my boss, by my boss's boss, by engineers, by top leaders in the company, all kind of ways. And it wasn't just me. Pretty much all of us felt that way. And in a lot of companies, that's still the way it is. But it ain't the way it's got to be. So stop and think. When someone motivates you, do they build trust or create distrust? See how easy it is when you slow down, you think about it, you start going through this content, really thinking about it, you already know the answer. Now that you understand what motivation means, mutual benefit. I could ask that question. When someone is seeking mutual benefit, where they win and you win, does that build trust or create distrust? It builds trust. But you got to understand the language. Manipulation versus motivation. So when they build trust because they're seeking mutual benefit, they're seeking to motivate you, do they have more or less influence? Again, obvious answer. They have more influence. But ask it the opposite way. When I motivate someone, do I build trust or create distrust? When I seek mutual benefit, do I build trust or create distrust? I build trust. When you seek to motivate someone, when you seek mutual benefit, do you build trust or create distrust? You build trust. It's a principle. It's the way it works. It works in both directions, though. That's the key. You got to understand it. When you build trust, do you have more or less influence? It's a principle. You build trust, you have more influence. Everybody knows it when they understand it. But most people don't think about it when they're making choices and interacting with people throughout the day, every day. You want to launch yourself like a rocket. That's the mindset you got to develop. That's why I'm breaking down all these chapters really slowly and methodically from this book, Defining Influence. Taking you on a deep dive into this stuff. Yes, I'm going to be repetitive about it because I want it to stick. When you believe I'm here to serve others, you begin to motivate others. You move others to action. However, when you believe others are here to serve me, you begin to manipulate others. High impact leadership is about motivation. Low impact leadership is about manipulation. Which person has better intent? Someone wanting to serve others or someone wanting to be served by others? See how easy it is? Who has better intent? It's obvious. Someone wanting to serve others. They're seeking mutual benefit. Someone wanting to be served by others. I just want to benefit if I'm that person. If I want to serve others, I want others to benefit because of me. If I want to be served by others, I want to benefit because of them. Which one is a higher degree of character? It's obvious. Who decides if something is an advantage or benefit for you? You do. How can someone else truly know what is valuable to you at any given moment based on the circumstances in your life? They can't. Likewise, you don't get to decide if someone else is benefiting or gaining an advantage. They do. They decide if there is a reason for them to act, not you. It makes perfect sense to me. How about you? This is what I'm talking about. I decide for me. what's going to benefit or give me an advantage, and you decide for you what's going to benefit you or give you an advantage. Pretty simple. That's how it works. However, we must realize that what may be motivation for one person, this is a key point right here. This is what a lot of people miss. So we must realize that what may be motivation for one person may be manipulation to another person, because people are different and have different values. Different people live with different circumstances in their lives. Everybody knows that. We have different relationships with different people. Different people see things differently based on where they are and where they've been. They have different views of the world. People see the world as they are, not as it is. Every relationship we have is different. There's no cookie cutter, one size fits all approach to influence. To be an effective leader, which is a person of influence, we must be dynamic while learning and applying leadership principles. Meaning we've got to seek out the principles that apply in this situation between me and this person, or me and these people. Many people do not understand or have not considered the difference between principles and practices. And they run into trouble as a result. They don't know. They never thought about it. So this is some key stuff I'm about to give you again right here. A principle can be applied in any situation and will deliver consistent results. Any situation. A practice can be applied in any situation too, but there's a big difference. A practice will not produce the desired result in any situation. Practices only produce the desired result in specific situations where certain associated and necessary variables are already in place. With principles and practices, if something changes, the practice may no longer work, but a principle always will. And there's a quote here in the book that I'm going to reference from Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's coming out of my Defining Influence book. He says, the value of a principle is the number of things it will explain. That's pretty good stuff. So I want to touch on a couple of things there as I talked about different people and being in different circumstances, that sort of stuff. How one person can see something as manipulation and another as motivation. Again, I go back to that example where I go to speak somewhere. Some of the people in the room feel motivated. Some feel manipulated. I'm the same person saying the exact same stuff. Some people like me. Some people don't like me. Some people feel motivated. Some people feel manipulated. How can that be? Because the people are different. I'm the same, but the people receiving my message are different. Some people value what I got to say. Some people don't. Some people have a good relationship with their leaders because they have shared values. Some people don't. So that's what you got to know. Some people are going to feel motivated. Some people feel manipulated. As a leader, if I'm doing leadership development in my company and people don't care about it, I got the wrong people. I value leadership development. I value people who want to grow and learn. If I'm implementing this in my organization and there's people who don't care, they're the wrong people. They already know it. That's why they're frustrated. They may not do nothing about it. They may quit and stay, meaning they ain't going to support you, but they want to stay there and get paid every week. Well, they can quit, but if they quit, I'm going to make sure that their decision is effective. If they want to quit, they're going to get to quit. They don't get to stay when they quit. They get to leave when they quit. But if I'm implementing leadership development, I got to understand all this stuff I'm talking to you about, and I got to try to build my team with people who value what I value, meaning learning all these principles of human interaction to become highly effective. So here's an example when I talk about principles and practices. Maybe you can relate to this because it applies more at home. This example is about home, not work. So I've heard different people speak about similar problems they have experienced with their children. It goes something like this. I have 3 children. 2 turned out great, but the other one, well, let me tell you about that one. They finish with this right here. They'll say, but I don't understand why. I raised them all the same. I've heard that a lot from different people about their kids turning out different, although they raised them all the same. The parent was, of course, the same. The 3 children had the same parent, but one of them turned out different than the other 2. But you see, the children were all different. The parent tried to apply what worked, the practice, with 2 children to all 3. If they had been successful at applying principles instead of applying practices, they would likely have had a very different story to tell than the one I just shared with you. Ultimately, children turn out different for one very simple reason. They are different. Think about that, moms and dads out there. Children turn out different for one very simple reason. They are different. They have different relationships with different people. The parents must realize they are not the only person influencing their children. Many different people are influencing them at many different times for many different reasons. When I was younger, I was not thinking about principles and practices. There wasn't much reasoning behind why I did what I did or said what I said. It's simple. I did what I wanted to do. It was all about me. I was very narcissistic in my early years. I grew out of it, especially when I started reading all these books every day in 2008, all these leadership books and personal growth and development books that I've been reading every day for 17 years. I intentionally changed my mind, and my mind automatically changed my life. It can happen for you too. I'm not proud of who I was, but I've learned and I've grown. I'm proud of that. I'm not the same person anymore that I used to be. I have transformed myself, and I'm proud of that. And if you want a book that'll take you down that path, I got a book called 10 Foundational Elements of Intentional Transformation, How to Become Your Best Self. Check that out. Dive into that book. It's a mental roadmap for how to think your way through personal transformation. It'll help you as an individual, as a parent, as a leader, just as a human being. It's full of principles. They're going to apply everywhere in your life that you are, whether you're at work or at home. My greatest accomplishments are leading, or in other words, influencing myself to grow and transform into a better person, improving my results and helping others do the same. That's why I'm recording this podcast today. I want to help you do the same. It's why I point you in all the different directions in my different books. Not just to sell you a book. I'm going to be okay if you don't buy the book. But you ain't going to get help by the book unless you buy the book and read the book and study the book and learn to implement and apply what's in the book, like I did with so many books that I've read in my life. I've never bought a book and read a book and felt like I wasted money, even if I didn't get a quote out of it, even if I thought it wasn't that good. And I bought hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. And I felt like I got value from every single one because I did. That's why I don't mind somebody buying a book from me. You don't have to. I don't care. But for you to benefit from what's in the book, you got to get the book and read it, whether it's my book or someone else. If you want to invest in yourself, why should anyone else? That tells you a lot about your intention. It tells me a lot about your intention. Are you waiting for someone else to develop you, or do you want to develop yourself? Stop and think. When someone is only concerned with themselves and what's in it for them, do they build trust or create distrust? When someone is only concerned with themselves and what's in it for them, do they build trust or create distrust? Obvious. They create distrust. Do they have more or less influence? Obvious. They have less influence. Pretty simple. When you are only concerned with yourself and what's in it for you, What do you think you do? Do you build trust or you create distrust? It works both ways. Like I'm going to say throughout this series or these episodes based on my Defining Influence book, where I'm using these stop and think questions. When you turn it around, these principles, they work both ways. Easy to understand. You got to think on them. You might have to rewind it. You might have to think through it. Say it slow. Repeat it. Look at it from the opposite frame of reference. If you're only concerned with yourself and what's in it for you, you're going to build trust or create distrust. You're going to create distrust. Are you going to have more or less influence? You're going to have less influence. You're going to have more or less options when you got less influence? Less options. Your life's going to get worse, not better. You're free to do what you want to do. But there ain't but one thing going to make your life better. Building trust, which leads to increased influence. The more influence you have, the better life you're going to have. It's a principle. People always trust us less when they feel we are more concerned with ourselves than with them. Remember, the amount of influence we have with others depends on how much they value who we are. We must sincerely care about them and demonstrate it with our actions, not only our words, if we truly want to begin to build trust. When it comes to high impact leadership, trust is a must. And if you are a high impact leader or want to become a high impact leader, be sure to check out my book, 10 Values of High Impact Leaders. A lot of people really, really like that book. It's got some gold in it. All my books full of gold. All the gold I've mined throughout my career from all my reading, the principles I've learned to apply, stories of getting it right and getting it wrong. My books are filled with that. I call it golden nuggets. Hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Talk to you next time.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mack Story's Blue Collar Leadership Series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mack's books, programs, special offers, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.